At my best friend's wedding, I got a little too tipsy and ended up falling right into her brother's arms. When I sobered up, I was trembling with fear because he really doesn't like me. After much deliberation, I decided to apologize to him with a weak excuse. Sorry, I thought I hit a wall, that's why I did that. He just let out a cold chuckle and unbuttoned his shirt, revealing a mess of hickeys on his chest. I see you were really starving, even a wall couldn't keep you from going at it. I told my best friend that I wanted to enjoy the wedding feast, and she eagerly promised, leave it to me. I'll give you a surprise. At the time, I thought she was joking. But a month later, she had a quick marriage with a family-arranged fiancé just to let me experience a high-end feast. While I playfully scolded her for being impulsive, I was seriously glued to the sight of the Australian lobster at her wedding. After all, being the youngest daughter of the richest family comes with grand displays. The feast was nothing short of extravagant. I pretended to shed a couple of reluctant tears, and then I went to town on the food, devouring a plate of braised pork, 2 plates of crabs, and 3 plates of steamed base. Watching her exchange rings and kiss the guy on stage made me feel a little down. I couldn't help but pour myself a couple more drinks, completely forgetting my poor tolerance. One drink led to another, and I was drunk before the wedding was over. I stumbled to the restroom to puke, and when I came out, I was still dizzy, walking around with my head tilted up. I accidentally bumped into something solid. It felt hard and sturdy, like a wall. It was so comfy to lean on, I ended up falling asleep right there. When I woke up at Selena's house, as everything slowly came back to me, last night's events started replaying in my head like a movie. A familiar scowling face became clear in my memory. It wasn't a wall I fell against last night, it was Selena's brother, Stephen. He's also my boss. After graduation, thanks to my close bond with Selena, I landed a job at her family's company. Initially, I was in a technical position, traveling frequently with her brother. But Selena felt it took up too much of my time away from her, so she asked Stephen to transfer me to a laid-back role. I was thrilled with the easy job, less work, good pay. But Stephen wasn't happy. He said the company doesn't pay people to slack around, so Selena told me to quit without hesitation. The little princess slammed the table and arrogantly told Stephen, I can afford her. Sign it and let her go. She then turned to me and said, we'll hire 10 male models to celebrate your resignation tonight, write that application. Maybe afraid she'd really go wild, Stephen got upset. I dare you. Do you dare to see if I dare? Finally, it was Stephen who compromised, begrudgingly signing the transfer instead of a resignation. From then on, he didn't show me any kindness. Every time I'd show up at their house to hang out with Selena, he'd give me the stink eye, staring to the point where it freaked me out. I guess he's silently judging me for getting paid for doing nothing at work. I know he doesn't like me much, but hey, I've got a powerful friend in Selena. When Selena suggested that I couldn't stay single forever and that I needed to start a family, Stephen reluctantly shared basic info about one of his friends under Selena's pressure. My parents passed away early on, so I've been living alone for years without many friends. Selena is my longest companion, and we're like family to each other. She knows how much I long for a complete family to fill the hole left by my parents' absence. Initially, she fancied the idea of me marrying her brother, but his attitude towards me quickly scrapped that plan. No way, marrying him is worse than going for my dog, Buddy, who actually likes you. Buddy is Selena's dog, always snuggling with me. Please. Buddy's your furry son, don't take advantage of me. Jokes aside, she genuinely searched for eligible bachelors within her circle and suggested a handsome one that I wanted to meet. Selena teased, Emily, you've got taste. He's the best-looking friend my brother has. Just a little flirty, but with a strict family, he won't mess around after marriage. I shrugged it off, not a big deal. A man's charm could be fake, but his looks? Those are real. Plus, a good-looking husband is a wife's pride, I'm all about that. I just love hearing, your husband's so handsome. That day, Selena had some errands, so I went to the meeting spot first. But as soon as I reached the door, I overheard Stephen's voice from inside. Charles asked, "Stephen, as Selena's friend, you must know her. What's she like?" Stephen's laid-back voice chimed in, "Her? Just average. Lazy, ditzy, sleepy, procrastinator, emotional, chatty, clumsy. Your parents won't be thrilled." Charles looked disappointed, sighing at my photo. "I liked her at first based on the pic. She looks like my parents' type, but with so many flaws, I'm not sure. I advise you not to get too interested." "Why?" Then Stephen's voice stopped. Peeking inside, I saw him leaning in to whisper something in Charles's ear. Probably some unflattering detail he couldn't say out loud. Upset as I was, he wasn't lying. Those traits were definitely me. Sharp eye, Stephen. In the end, it fizzled out, with Charles apologizing multiple times and politely declining. After that, I made a conscious effort to steer clear of Stephen. He dislikes me more than I realized, so better to avoid him altogether. At Selena's wedding, I was seated at the main table. By the time I arrived, the only open spot was between Stephen and his mom. "You guys fighting or something?" Stephen's mom treats me like her daughter, so I was thrilled to sit next to her, but not so much next to Stephen. Didn't want him telling my future dates. She's a glutton and can't hold her liquor. Thankfully, Stephen got called away by Charles to join their drinking, letting me dive into my feast. Little did I know, avoiding him would land me right in his arms. Recollections hit me like a movie played in fast forward. I was practically glued to his chest, refusing to budge, resisting his pushes, then hugging him tight. When I wasn't hugging, I was kissing his lips. Truth be told, his lips were quite soft, very kissable. Even went as far as ripping his shirt, getting pretty bold. But why in the world didn't he stop me at all? I freaked out, cut off my memories quickly, got dressed, and ran out of his house like my butt was on fire. Just my luck. As soon as I stepped out, I bumped into Stephen, who's heading to work. He acted all chill and even seemed in a good mood. He greeted me with a rare smile. "Heading to work together?" "Great." Just 2 words from him told 2 horror stories. Together, work. I was shivering, his smile felt creepy. Selena once told me her brother's super uptight. Almost 30 and never had a girlfriend. Yet, he's got the looks and status. Plenty of girls throw themselves at him, but he always pushes them away. Not only did I throw myself at him, but I also kissed him. Great, the deceased is very upset right now. Stephen didn't seem in any hurry to leave. He stood by his Maybach, looking at me seriously. After some mental gymnastics, I gathered the courage to approach him. After thinking it over, I apologized and weakly offered, "Sorry, I thought I hit a wall." He chuckled coldly and started unbuttoning his shirt. I backed up a step, thinking no way, this isn't how it's going down, right? Halfway through unbuttoning, he exposed his nice, defined chest, which I failed to notice while touching it last night. Wrong focus, he wanted to show me the messy marks and scratches, evidence of my drunken unholy actions against him. "You must have been starving, munching on a wall like that," he said, stepping closer. "So, how will we fix this?" "I'm sorry." My mind went blank, all I could think was to kneel and apologize. "It's not about the money," I admitted, aware I can't offer any substantial compensation. "Sorry doesn't cut it, Emily." He buttoned his shirt, looking at me seriously. "I won't accept your apology." I was stuck, so I just surrendered. "All right, what will it take?" "I'll do whatever it takes to make up for it." "Marry me." I stared at him, wide-eyed. Ignoring my shock, he added, "Marry me and fend off all those women." So, he wants to get married to avoid unwanted attention. Why not just marry Betty, the girl Mom and Dad introduced to you yesterday? "You're such a great match, and a family alliance would be perfect." Stephen just raised an eyebrow and pointed at his chest, with a small smile. "With these marks, I'm not considered clean anymore. Who else can I blame but you? Plus, you spilled some secrets last night, which I've recorded. If you don't agree, I might just let everyone in on them. What secrets? I said nervously, hands sweaty and clutching my shirt. He smirked playfully, ones that would make you scream. Flashing back to those embarrassing moments, I can't let them out. I need to preserve my dignity. His smug look made me reasonably suspect I might have cursed him out during my drunken ranting. Weighed pros and cons, I agreed to his terms. Marry him. I agreed in the morning, and we got our marriage certificate that afternoon. He looked like a fool with excitement, holding the marriage certificate with a grin. He must have been panicking after seeing his sister marry. Couldn't wait. And now, he's also taken, keeping the other women away. That evening, he suggested I move in with him. I declined. What if he realized soon how lazy, stupid, sleepy, procrastinating, talkative, and clumsy I am? Wouldn't he roll his eyes and boot me out? The thought alone made me shake my head. No, definitely not. But Stephen was persistent. How can I explain not living with my wife to my parents? If word got out, how could I face anyone? Defeated, I packed my things and went with him. After all, I was guilty first. He even proposed a wedding, but I had solid grounds to refuse. I'm socially awkward, and weddings are exhausting. Selena's wedding nearly killed her. Besides, with rings on, people would already know we're married without all the fuss. Stephen didn't push further on that. He has his own place, newly finished. It's a house with a huge balcony view, a former dream of mine. Entire city and the sea, with gorgeous sunset showering in on good days. Living someplace like this was always a dream, but the property market's beyond imagination. Yet for Stephen, a quick purchase made it real. Envy stings. You like it, so I bought it. Disgusting. Couldn't the wealthy go start their own planet? Staying at someone else's place, Stephen's hostile territory, I tried to tone down my shortcomings, taking things seriously and carefully. I moved next to his master bedroom, and they share a balcony. I'd rush up every day upon hearing his balcony door. When Stephen saw me all dressed and up, he sometimes quipped, "Finally up to see the sunrise?" Back with Selena, I'd often sleep until noon with her. After breakfast, I raced to do the dishes, but before I could finish my bun, he already had the dishes clean. No words exchanged, but he'd give me a lift to work. Transactions were always generous, making me count zero after zero. When we eventually divorce, maybe I'll afford a prime city view condo and pamper an 18-year-old boy toy. Happy thoughts trailed my journey to work. What's on your mind? Stephen snapped me back to reality. I turned to see him drumming his fingers on the wheel, gazing casually at me. Hot guys, I slipped, noticing Stephen's face darken instantly. Thinking of what kind of spokesperson to get for the next ad project. No guys allowed. But it's a men's underwear ad. How's a guy not gonna model that? Out of nowhere, he said, after this project, we're switching to group 3. Get off the bus. All day at work, Stephen's gloomy face was stuck in my head. Saying I wasn't scared would be a lie. So those days after work, I always ended up at Selena's. Anyway, she and her husband aren't really close, no sparks there. She's always saying how bored she is and how much she misses me. Her arranged marriage partner is her dad's old friend's son, named Louis. He's handsome and tall, just doesn't talk much. Every time I'm there, he's either playing with the cat or walking the dog, and he and Selena seem like they're from different worlds. He's got life in his eyes, but no wife. Selena, being the chatterbox she is almost going insane with such a quiet guy. She can't even start fights, so she's always calling me over in despair. When she found out I married Stephen quickly, she ran over to warn him immediately, "If you mess with Emily, I'll skin you and feed you to Buddy. You're sneaky enough to snatch my best friend, Stephen. I thought we were like siblings, and you steal her from me. You know, since I was a kid, Emily's been my only friend. Give her back to me." She pointed at him, all dramatic. Stephen, with his calm demeanor, let her finish her rant, nodding to all her demands. But eventually, he slowly got 2 words out: not happening. Selena and I are still like old times, loving to lounge on the sofa, gossiping. As the night deepens, our chat shifts from random gossip back to personal stuff. Selena twirls a lock of hair around her finger, looking concerned. She asks, "Is my brother treating you well? Hope he's not bullying you. Back when I asked him to set you up with someone, he was so reluctant, acting like you'd tarnish his friend or something. Now he's the one rushing to marry you." I thought seriously for a bit, shook my head, and said, "No, not really. He's pretty good to me now, not as dismissive as before." "Maybe," she teased, "now that you're married, he's shifted his competitive edge to your husband." "Selena tuts, you're something else, you know. You used to say you wanted to stay 3 feet away whenever you saw my brother. And now you're defending him? Guess love does make people blind." I gave a bitter smile. Everything between us is about benefits, with no room for real feelings. Switching topics, I asked Selena with a bit of concern, "So, what about you? You got hitched just for me to have a seat at your wedding. I feel guilty every time I think about it." She shrugged. "What to do? Someone in our family had to marry through connections. If my brother won't do it, then it's me. Why won't he do it? No wonder the family's always pestering him to marry. He keeps postponing. He's got someone in his heart. He's always been this stubborn. Once he's made up his mind, not even 9 bulls could drag him back. But I don't mind. I don't want anyone but you. Whether marrying a chicken or a dog, it's all the same to me." As she said this, she moved in for a kiss on my cheek. When I was about to return the gesture, Lewis called out from behind, "Steven's waiting for you outside." Lewis didn't look too happy, sounding a bit impatient, saying, "Get going. It's getting dark." Selena and I exchanged looks, whispering, "How does he know I'm here?" I clearly said I was out with coworkers. Selena thought for a moment, then lifted her gaze to Lewis. The man shifted his eyes, a bit guilty. After picking me up, Steven didn't say much, leisurely driving home. I was absent-minded, leaning on my hand, gazing out the window, curious about who he likes. I wanted to ask directly, but it felt like crossing a line. So I just barely held back my itching curiosity. Yet, I got the answer the very next day. The next day at work, just as I was getting sleepy, ready to daydream, someone suddenly shouted, "Steven went ballistic in a meeting. He's been yelling for half an hour without repeating himself once, and not a curse word to boot. Which department messed up that bad? Steven hasn't flipped out in ages. His mouth in a fight? Who could stand a chance? Sheesh. Let's go check it out." Hearing some drama was happening, my sleepiness vanished. I hadn't seen Steven lose it before, so my curiosity was piqued. So, I gleefully joined my coworkers to watch the spectacle. Once there, we saw him slam the documents on the table, scattering papers everywhere. I shrank to the side in shock. His secretary hurried in, gave us a look, and then went in to pick up the papers. She organized them and whispered a few words in his ear. He gave her a glance, then looked outside and almost spotted us gawkers. We quickly ducked away. After the secretary finished, his demeanor softened instantly. He awkwardly rubbed his nose, a faint smile tugging at his lips, not aggressive like before, instead kinda gentle. My gut told me he's got different feelings for this secretary. Winnie's Steven's secretary for years for a reason. Few words, and she calms him. Totally. She's the only one who's stuck with Steven all these years. With Steven's picky taste, Winnie's gotta have some skills. I mean, his sister's married, but Steven's still not. Is he waiting for Winnie? Steven's not married? I saw a ring on his finger, though I haven't heard wedding news. Maybe he's just low-key. His sister's wedding was a big deal, citywide news. His wedding couldn't be low-key. He's not married. Wearing a ring doesn't mean married. Look at Emily, She wears one too and she's single. Well, I'll just keep shipping him with Winnie, they're a perfect match. Did you know it's Winnie's birthday today? I saw a box on the boss's desk this morning from a brand I recognize, a necklace. Colleagues exchanged notes. I couldn't help but sneak another peek inside. They really do make a good couple. Some guilt crept up inside of me, thinking maybe my drunken mistake kept him from his true love. Before clocking off, he texted saying he had plans for the evening and I should head home alone, no need to wait. I very sensibly nodded, ready to turn around and find Selena. It took a while to get through, but she finally answered, "Emily, I can't hang out tonight." There were mismatched breaths in the background. Lewis's low, raspy voice had a twinge of complaint. Focus. I hung up first, tossed my phone aside, and flopped onto the couch, feeling dazed. By this time, they're probably having dinner together, right? I really wanted to make a call, but it felt like I'd be crossing a line. We're not really in a place to be concerned about each other's plans. But why are you feeling down? I've been trying to stay in my lane but still can't help wanting a little bit more. The phone screen was stuck on Steven's number forever, but I just couldn't tap it. While I was still hesitating, I heard the door open from the entryway. Steven had come back. Seeing me still on the couch, he swung a bag in my direction as if to signal me to take it, and while bending to change his shoes, he said, "There's a business dinner tomorrow night. Will you come with me?" Me? Going to a business dinner like that would be like a mask store getting robbed, super embarrassing. I shook my head and said, "Can't. I'm busy." Steven frowned. "Busy? Are you going to see Selena again?" "Nope." "Why don't you take Winnie with you?" Steven glanced at me, lazily crossing his arms and leaning against the wall, saying slowly, "Why? It's not work hours. If I bring her, it'd be overtime, and I'd have to pay double. It's not worth it. I want you to come." I rolled my eyes blatantly. How typical of a capitalist. Bringing me doesn't count as overtime? Plus, it's for a spouse, and you're technically my spouse. Before I could say more, he put the bag in my hands. "Try on the dress." I spent a long time choosing it. The size should be right. "How did you know what size I wear?" I asked absent-mindedly, looking at the dress inside, not noticing him stepping closer. With a playful glint in his eyes, he ruffled my hair and smirked. "Of course, I know because I measured you myself." At the event, Steven had to discuss a business deal, so he told me to wander around. While strolling the hall, I bumped into someone I knew. Charles. Holding a glass of red wine, he approached and raised it in a sort of toast before taking a sip. "Hello." Remembering the awkward date we had, I felt a little uneasy. "Hey there." Charles usually looked laid back, but in a suit, he seemed a bit more polished. He took me to a quiet corner and, looking around, muttered, "We went on a date before, and I'm a friend of Steven's. Can you help me out with something?" "What kind of help?" "Can you set me up with Steven's secretary?" "You like Winnie?" Suddenly bashful, Charles nodded, his face reddening. "The other day, after a business dinner with Steven, I got drunk. He had to leave, so Winnie took me home. When my stomach started acting up, she took me to the hospital and stayed with me all night. No one's ever been so nice to me. But she wouldn't give me her number. I can't ask Steven, so can you help me?" I stayed silent. "Steven likes Winnie too, right? You two could duke it out for her." After thinking a bit, I replied, "It depends on your skills. Your competition's tough." Charles was anxious, shaking my arm. "What?" I checked. "She's single." "Is there someone else she's into?" I nodded solemnly. Distressed, he murmured, "Why can't it be me?" Just when I thought of something to comfort him, Steven's voice called out from behind, "Babe. What are you doing here? I've been looking everywhere for you." He strode over, pulled me to him by the shoulder. Because of his shout, we drew some curious stares. I blushed, lightly kicked him, and muttered between clenched teeth, "Don't call me that." Stephen ignored me, giving Charles a displeased glance as he led me outside. As we stepped out into the chilly night, he draped his suit jacket over me. The mix of his cologne and the faint wine scent enveloped me as he shielded me from the brisk autumn wind. Watching his back, striding confidently ahead, I unexpectedly felt a connection to Charles's earlier desolate expression. That night I couldn't sleep, just tossing and turning in bed lost in thought. Should I help Charles? I tried to call Selena but she didn't pick up. Just as I was about to dial again, I heard a shout from outside. I quickly sat up. What the heck was that noise? It sounded like Stephen. I shuffled out in my slippers to find him curled up on the couch clutching his leg, eyes shut tight. Pointing at a bug on the floor, he said, voice trembling, "There's a big bug." Seriously? A 30-year-old man afraid of bugs. Sighing internally, I didn't have the heart to make fun of him. I grabbed a tissue, scooped it up, and flushed it down the toilet. Coming out of the bathroom, I brushed my hands off, looking at him with mild annoyance. "And you say I'm the scaredy cat? Look who's more scared now." Stephen, now back to his usual self, asked cluelessly, "Scared? What are you talking about?" Oh, he forgets things so easily. Back when Charles and I went on that date, you told him I was scared of bugs. Wait, you heard that? I nodded. Yup, heard it all. Just know, that wasn't fair. Even though I've kinda got Selena as a backup, you didn't have to go and ruin my chances. Why'd you cock-block me? Leaning back on the sofa with a lazy air, Stephen casually said, "'Cause he didn't like you." Seeing my disbelief, he continued, "Charles wants someone to appease his family, picks based on elders' requests. His family is notoriously strict, and I didn't want that for you." I countered, "So what, I didn't mind at all. You didn't like me either, and look, we still ended up married." Stephen slightly leaned forward, smirked, and quickly interjected, "Who said I don't like you?" It hit me, I'd wandered into unfamiliar, unwanted territory. Feigning a yawn, I moved to end the conversation. "All right, enough chatting. Sleep time." But Stephen sensed my mood shift. Blocking my way, he said seriously, "Hear me out first. Are you misunderstanding something about us?" Misunderstanding? Us? Yeah, about our feelings. He steadied me by the shoulders, took a deep breath with a hint of nerves. I caught the tremor in his voice. "I really like you. Are you drunk tonight? Or still shocked by that bug? I don't even look like Winnie." His expression froze before insisting again, "Emily, I like you. Forget Winnie. It's you, only you." His words were like a wooden hammer, pounding into my ears, slowly hitting my heart that was supposedly dead. A sealed-off love opened a crack, letting in a bright beam of light. Lately, I've been randomly thinking back to what happened last time I got drunk, including things I said. Apparently, I confessed to him while I was drunk. But that scene always comes to me like a dream, so I try to deny it, thinking it was just a dream. After all, if I told him I liked him, he'd probably avoid me. There's no way he'd marry someone who likes him, right? That would totally mess with his chase for love. But today, the mood was just right, so I couldn't hold back asking, "What did I even say last time I got drunk?" Stephen leaned in, squinting, "You really can't remember?" I shook my head. Stephen continued, "You said you liked me and asked if I liked you back. I did answer, but you woke up without remembering a thing. What did you say?" Stephen's eyes were sparkling, and his intense gaze fell on me, his voice smooth but a bit hurt. "I said I liked you too, and you kicked me off the bed right after, so I've never known if you were sleep-talking or speaking your drunken truth. Selena always kept me away, so I'd barely spoken a few words to you. But since you said you like me, I had to make a move and propose to test the waters. Would you never have opened your mouth if I hadn't pushed you a bit? And marrying me, is it for me or something else?" As Stephen finished, he looked at me hopefully. So he brought up getting married because he knew I liked him too. I was about to respond when a bug landed on my hand. I freaked out and shook it off hard, and in the chaos, Stephen pulled me into his arms. Once I calmed down, he'd already taken care of the bug without a fuss. "Aren't you scared of bugs?" I asked, surprised. Stephen ruffled my hair, chuckling, "I never was." "You tricked me." Pretending to be pitiful to coax me out. "Exactly, Lewis asked me to handle you, told you to stop calling Selena late at night, she's busy. Brother-in-law needed a hand, so I helped. Attaboy, taking care of my Selena. You calmly dealt with the bug, you must really like me, huh?" Stephen asked again, and I pretended to be mad, pushing away his attempting kisses. Love brain off limits. When it was time for bed, Stephen insisted there were lots of bugs tonight and wanted to sleep with me. What, like sleeping with me means no bugs? "I don't care, you manhandled me last time, you owe me." Before I could answer, he swiftly took off his shirt, scaring me into fleeing, which he thwarted by pulling me back into his embrace, making me face his chest. I saw clearly the marks and scratches I left on him last time weren't gone yet. "So, should I apply some ointment for you?" I suggested. "With your lips, maybe?" Stephen asked in that irresistible, husky voice, making me frantically look up at him. His eyes glistened with affection as he leaned down, closing the gap with an urgent, heated kiss, holding the back of my head as he lifted me, excitement unconcealed in his husky voice. "Last time, you took the lead, now, it's my turn." Stephen's one initiative paid me back with 3 days of backache. He felt so guilty, he called me to his office every day, giving shoulder massages when there was time, piling up tasty and drinkable treats in his office just for me. Perfect for me, with all the paid downtime to boot. Lounging with my feet up, I watched him work until Winnie the secretary brought in documents, reminding me of Charles asking for help last time. Changing gears, I asked Charles, "When we went on that blind date, Stephen told you not to like me. What did he say after that?" "Spill it and I'll help you." I've always been curious about what trash he talked behind my back because every night when I ask him, he'd mumble he likes me back into sleep. What bad things did he say about me? The curiosity is killing me. He said he liked you, told me not to get any ideas. Ugh, it's like I'm just a part of your married couple's game, right? Charles rolled his eyes, chugging his drink. When am I going to win over Winnie? Your family stopped pushing you to marry? I teased. Even if they did, it won't magically send Winnie into my arms, will it? Monday morning during the middle management meeting, I waited for Winnie outside the conference room. When she saw me, she ran over like she'd found her savior. "Emily, glad you're here, or we'd all be chewed out for 2 hours again." "He's mad again?" "I swear I didn't do anything." Strange, he never used to get so mad when I was in the tech department during meetings. Now, it's like he's on edge all the time. I mumbled softly, and Winnie winked hearing it, replying with a sigh, "That's because he wouldn't show his anger with you around. He'd storm off to the office and sulk behind closed doors instead. With my old efficiency, I'm sure he'd have yelled me into the ground." My admiration turned to the Stephen emerging from the meeting room, his frown softened seeing me but still shooting words at the others. I quickly grabbed Winnie for a chat elsewhere, sharing about Charles wanting to date her. She looked torn, so I reassured, "He's asking for matchmaking help, but it's totally your choice. Don't force yourself out of courtesy or anything." Winnie thought for a moment, then declared, "I'm not looking for love right now. I'm just focusing on making money. The last time I looked after him was because the boss paid me overtime. Overtime pay. And I didn't have to do much, just watch over a sleeping person and get double pay. I was all for it." Winnie scratched her head, her big round eyes wide open. She laughed, "Emily, I'm so career-driven. Think you could ask Stephen to give me a raise?" I told Charles the truth, and unexpectedly, his eyes lit up. He slammed the table, standing up, "Wants to make money, eh?" I thought he'd lost his mind, and turns out he kinda did. He went to Stephen to find out Winnie's salary and offered her triple to lure her away. Winnie glanced at the new job contract and then at her longtime boss. She bowed slightly to Stephen, a bit apologetic, and happily took the contract to switch jobs. When Stephen learned the whole story, he wouldn't let go of me, his hand unashamedly wandering around my waist. With a look that said "good job," he said, "You've made my secretary leave. Do you know what this means?" I shook my head, really not wanting to know. "It means I'm mad, and you have to pamper me tonight." I sighed in relief. Thankfully, he didn't want me to replace Winnie as his secretary. But in the middle of the sleepless night, I regretted it. Being a secretary might have been easier. After the start of autumn, Selena got pregnant. I went to visit her. Louis was clinging to her, like he was staking a claim. "Careful, don't hurt my wife." I spat, "How come you don't worry about hurting her when you're doing those things at night?" With her pregnancy, Selena's appetite grew, turning Louis, who couldn't even boil water, into a 5-star chef. She stuffed a piece of beef in her mouth, her words muffled. "Can you and my brother have a wedding? I want to attend one." How could I not fulfill such a simple wish for my sister? When I got home, I immediately brought this idea up to Stephen. He seemed unhappy, furrowing his brow without a word. I nudged him, and he eventually responded, giving me a gentle tap on the head, "Silly, weddings are for ourselves, not for others." I rubbed my head, grumbling, "But Selena had one for me. She was getting married anyway, just teasing you." I went silent, realizing he had a point. "So, do you still want a wedding?" Stephen asked. "With you, I really do." I nestled half of myself into his embrace. My words clearly pleased him, as a soft smile crept onto his lips. The wedding's set for spring next year. With Stephen and our families helping, it didn't feel so overwhelming anymore. On that day, I walked slowly down the aisle in my wedding dress toward Stephen. The moment I took his hand, he shed a tear. I wiped it away, cupping his face and hearing him say, in a voice only we could hear, "I love you, thank you for listening." He's still wearing the ring I casually bought from a roadside store when he insisted on having one. During the wedding toast, he swapped all my drinks for non-alcoholic ones, raising his hands in surrender. "I can't handle your shenanigans when you're drunk anymore." Remembering that night when I totally dominated him after drinking, my face instantly flushed, so I obediently stuck to soda. When we reached the table with my friends, I saw Winnie sitting next to Charles. Stephen grumbled, "Being your secretary means attending the wedding, too?" Charles was all smug. "What are you talking about? She's my date." Winnie gave me a playful grin, and I instantly got it. Clearly, Charles's extra work pay was pretty satisfying. Winnie played the date role convincingly. True to form, Winnie sneaked over to whisper in my ear, "Thanks for making the introduction, Emily. This big fool's money is way too easy to earn. $1,000 an hour, and with this dinner at your wedding, I'm crying all the way to the bank, pocketing 10 grand. After she feigned a couple of reluctant tears, she cleaned out an entire plate of braised pork, 2 platters of crabs, and 3 plates of steamed base. I gave her a big thumbs up. That night, I didn't get drunk, but Stephen did. He collapsed onto me, mumbling nonsense. Remembering how he once secretly recorded my drunken ramblings, I fired up my phone to start recording. All he kept repeating was, "Honey, can we just walk through life like this forever?" "Of course." I answered, stopped the recording, then tore off his shirt and kissed him soberly, biting and nibbling every bit.